G'day Raiders fans, it's Berkey here and welcome to my Bourkeys Top 10 preview for Magic Round against the Dogs in a little over under 6 hours now, 12:30 Brisbane time here. Guys, yeah, so an exciting weekend in Brizzy. Weather's beautiful. The weather's really, really good. So it should be a fantastic game. I'm glad we've got the first game tonight actually because it keeps Suncorp Stadium in pretty good nick. Compared to playing, the second last game on Sunday. So it's going to be a fast outfield or a fast field. And with Savage back, may well suit our game plan. These sort of games I sort of don't like because the Dogs are a really sort of uncertainty about how they perform. As I'll cover a few things I might in my top 10, they're not going to go away. Similar to the Dolphins last week. So we have to make sure that we're really on our mettle and, play to our ability and not lower ourselves to their standard. But let's dive into it, shall we? So with the Dogs, Matt Burton is their main go-to. Now, he's not a halfback. At best, I'd rate him an inside centre, but he's playing half due to injury. So that's actually a bonus for us. It means he's not only got to do their kicking game, but organising their attack and everything else generally will float around him. So I think he'll play left edge in attack. So our right edge, obviously, of Tomoko, Jamal, Elliott, and the like. So we just got to make sure that, once again, same as last week, we really put pressure on his kicking game particularly. They're really hard on the penalties now, the rest. So we've got to make sure that we don't initiate heavy contact. But we just have to have a lot of guys coming from the inside. Burton's a left footer. Which suits the left side for him far better, which means he's kicking away from his body. So it's very hard to get a charge down if you're coming from marker because he's further away. But we've got to make sure we really put pressure on his kicking game as well as in attack. We've got to frustrate him. Burton, you can't give him time with the ball. And as a halfback, that's what we've really got to focus on, is making sure that his decision-making of what he's going to do in attack is nullified or reduced as much as possible. But I think it's certainly a bonus from our end that he is playing halfback. It nullifies a part of the Canterbury running game if he's playing in that position. He does throw a very good dummy and go. So our inside defenders, once again, really have to get across. We can't have our outside defenders watching, hoping that our inside men cover across in time to nullify his dummy. If he gets through that back, if he gets through our forward, our front line, then that is the fault of the inside defence who have not come across quick enough. Number 2, I've gone for Josh Reynolds. He's going to be annoying. He's going to be up in the face. He plays a lot of passion, hard on sleeve. You know what you're going to get with Reynolds. Once again, not the most gifted footballer, but he's certainly going to be sniffing around. He's certainly going to be up in our face, and he's certainly going to try to inspire his team with a big hit or a big shot. Or a good kick or a great pass. So once again, we need to nullify Reynolds as much as possible. Scoreboard pressure will really nullify his game. And if we get under his skin, really agitate him like St. George did last week, then it's going to be a bonus. I'll come to Reynolds in our top 10 as well as to what we need to concentrate on in the way that we play him. But on their side, he's really going to play with a lot of passion to try and lift their confidence and their spirits. And number 3 for the Dogs, they're just going to be gritty. Once again, they're going to try and rely on our mistakes. Hopefully they'll be few and far between, but that's their game plan. They did that against St. George last week. They really tried to nullify or feed off any Dragons mistakes or penalties or the like. And they're going to chance their arm. So we've got to be aware of that and make sure that we just keep things at our level and not drop down to their level. Let's come to us, shall we? So I've gone the bench as number 4 for us. Looking at our bench, I think we've lost a little bit with Corey Harawira-Naera not being on the bench. So we've got Tom, Emre, Pasami, and Atta. So Atta's coming back after 6-7 weeks away. Great inclusion. He's going to be fresh. He also might be in the need of a run, which is a bit of a concern. But it's a very young bench with Pasami and Atta feeling 16, 17. Emre is going to be solid, and we just need that input from Tom when he comes on. So the bench rotation for us tonight is really critical. We've got a fair bit of inexperience on the bench, particularly with Pasami and Atta filling those voids. But once again, when those bench players come on, they need to take us to that next level, and that can really have a big impact on getting the win tonight. Number 5, I've gone Xavier, or the X Factor. Great to see him back. Obviously, I think with him back, we need to play an expansive game tonight. We need to get the ball to the edges quickly, get him in some one-on-ones. I know he's playing winger, but get him in some one-on-ones. Burton will probably kick to him a lot tonight just to try and source him and sound him out. Xavier's first game back, ironically, he broke his jaw against the Dogs in the trial, but it's his first game back in A grade since that trial, so a couple of months ago. He might be a little bit tender. He needs to get a touch first. He needs to continue the good work that Hopewati did last week with the carries out of the danger end and get some really good yardage. But he's just got to play his role. He's got to be really careful if he tries to beat someone on the outside, which he has done in the past. He doesn't get pushed into touch. So he's got to be very wary of if the opportunity is there and he doesn't think he can get pushed out, to make sure that he takes it. But he's just got to be very careful with his decision-making about trying to beat someone on the outside. But it is good to see him back. It just adds another dimension to our attack with him and Raps on the wings. And we've got to make sure that we use it accordingly. I'd love to see Xavier come in around the half-time mark with 5 or 10 and just sniff around that play the ball area, particularly if Tom's on at that stage, and really look to get in behind the Bulldogs markers late in the first half and late in the second half to really try and get some good yards. Number 6, once again, is number 6 is play expansive. We have got a lot of confidence in our side at the moment. It's a dry track, so we should be really using our combinations in attack. Jack, Sebastian, Chris, Jordan, Timoko. We need to play a really expansive game against the Dogs, who may be found wanting if it's a really upbeat, speedy game. The Dogs like a little bit of chaos in their game, where the play slowed down or there's plenty happening. But I'd like to see us play an expansive game. Number 7, I've gone for Papa and Taps to play longer minutes. I don't understand Ricky's rotations here. I mean, Taps came on for the last 15 minutes last week against the Dolphins, which I find a bit strange. I'd like to see Papali and Tarpany get far more minutes in the second half. I get the first half rotation after 20 minutes, they're off for a break. But in the second half, I'd love to see him play at least 20, 25. I just think they've trained for it. I think their fitness is okay to do so. And with those guys obviously on the field, they're 2 of our better players in the side. They can really steamroll the Bulldogs pack, who will be rotating Pangai Jr. And Max King fairly regularly. Number 8, I've gone Elliott's edge D. Like last week, Elliott's edge defence was at best ordinary. He led in 1 try, I think, from memory. So he really needs to pick that side of his game up. His edge defence has been a little bit uncertain this year. He seems to be half a yard or a yard behind the pace when they run the ball wide. So tonight he's going to have Josh Reynolds probably on his edge, and Reynolds, like Cody Nikorima last week, does put a player into a hole if necessary. So Elliott's really got to hustle from that inside and not get sucked in trying to help Jamal. And number 9, I've gone Josh Reynolds on the other side. Now, look, we need to play smart here, guys. Josh Reynolds is 34. He's playing 5'8", one of the hardest positions on the field, particularly in defence. So we need to be clever. We need to throw a lot of runners at Reynolds with Sebastian, Chris particularly, or Jack coming from the left edge to the right edge, just to give some uncertainty in the Reynolds defensive structure. We need to really put a lot of bodies at him to make him do 2 or 3 tackles to tire him out. This is smart footy, and this is how we need to play the Dogs and really go for weakness. And at 34, playing 5'8", who hasn't got the speed as much as he used to, there is a weakness there in the defensive line of the Bulldogs we really need to exploit. And number 10, I've gone intensity. On paper, we're a far better side than the Dogs, but we just need to play with a level of intensity to grind them out of the game. It might take 65, it might take 75, but if we keep our intensity going for 80 minutes, we should certainly get the chocolates in this game tonight at 6 o'clock. So, guys, that's it for my top 10. As always, I really appreciate your support on Facebook. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Messenger. Hit me up through the Facebook. Hit me up through Bourkeys' top 10 page. Love to have a chat, guys. Looking forward to this game. First game of Magic Round in 5.5 hours, guys. Enjoy your weekend. And as always, this is Bourkey. Lead Green out.